You're listening to Lighthouse Conversations, brought to you by Lighthouse Haven, a spiritual home for your awakening soul. Lighthouse Conversations is a show where awakening souls gather to be inspired, connected, and enlightened. Spiritual spark plug and host Chelly Canales, that's me, will guide you through the twists and turns of your journey to a safe haven where you are finally free to live your best light. Each episode contains a conversation with a guest who has gone through a spiritual awakening, detailing their unique and life-changing experiences in an intimate and candid way. Although everyone's experience is as unique as they are, we all share one common thread. We're all seeking something. So, come join us on this journey and be prepared to leave with resources that will supercharge you into inspired action. Here's today's episode. Well, hello, awakening souls. How are you doing? I hope you're finding some time in these past few months, few weeks, few days for connection with yourself, connection with others. It's very easy to feel isolated during these times if you're, social distancing, if you're, trying to keep people around you safe who are particularly vulnerable. All of these things can lead to, a feeling of just not being a part of the flow of life anymore. But that's a choice. We can actually choose to go out of our way to, we can connect in a lot of ways. We can connect on the phone, we connect safely in person. But connecting online is something that we are so fortunate to have. We're so lucky in our day and age to have access to Zoom meetings, for as much as we make fun of them and as much as we have issues and technical difficulties. It's a way to keep us connected that previous generations did not have. So despite all of the shortcomings, it's a real gift. And I'm really working on my gratitude every day to be able to say, yes, I can still look people in the eye. I can connect, you can have a conversation and feel like I'm definitely not alone, because I'm not, and neither are you. So I hope you remember that. Today's episode, I speak with my friend Melissa, who's incredible. She created this project called the Unleash Project, where she takes women into a meditation, and then they have a very vulnerable session where they actually paint their bodies with body paint, expressing the beauty on the inside, on the out, and showing it on the outside, and it becomes art. Photographs are taken, and there's this beautiful gallery that she put together, which was, of course, it was supposed to tour, but of course got canceled because of COVID, or at least it's on hold for now. So what does she do? It's incredible to me. You can have an experience that's so vulnerable, so intimate, so requiring of so much connection and trust. And she was still able to do it online. That's what she's doing now. And what's so great about it is that it challenges the way that society makes us believe that you can only be beautiful if you fit these very certain standards, and it doesn't allow for, the beautiful scars and marks and history of our lives on our bodies that so many of us have but are ashamed of. And it doesn't need to be that way. So I hope you'll enjoy being on this journey with us as we discuss the Unleash Project and about finding that love for yourself on the inside and being able to express it on the outside. I hope you are all staying safe, and I look forward to connecting with you again next week. Take care. And welcome to the show, Melissa. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great today.
It's a pleasure to have you. I'm already feeling your beautiful energy and presence here, and I can see why you are so attracted to working in the arts and using that as a means of transformation in a therapeutic type way for the people that you work with. I want to hear about your path that took you to where you are today.
Totally. Yes. Thank you. And thank you for this opportunity to speak to your listeners and let them know what I'm up to. Possibly impart some inspiration to them as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, how I got started in this, my story really kind of began when I found myself on a nude beach and was like, oh my gosh, I'm nude here. This was This was like a very scary and pivotal moment of my life where I felt like my clothes were like this representation of these masks that I had been wearing for so long. And by taking them off, I was like revealing this part of myself that I kept hidden and didn't really connect with myself or know that person. And also it left me in a very vulnerable state of being naked without these masks that were symbolic of the clothes that I was wearing.
So that is like a really powerful moment where society gives you all these, like you say, masks, right? I can make myself look a certain way. People get information based on how I decide to clothe myself, all the makeup I put on myself. So you find yourself without any of those barriers or those immediate, I guess you can say, indications of who you are based on what you chose, right? So it's just you. It's just your essence. Like in that moment, how did you know that this was something that was going to change you moving forward?
I knew because when I looked around, well, first of all, I had like all of this apprehension come up and shame about my body and this noticing and feeling this disconnection and like, who am I? Like all these questions and everything was happening in that moment. And when I looked around me at the rest of the people on the beach, they were totally comfortable in their own skin and like having conversations, looking people in the eye, not feeling like shame. Nothing was sexualized. And I saw that and it totally inspired me. And I was like, whoa, this is a moment here. And I want to feel the way that I'm seeing those people are in their skin. And I need to do something about this. So that's kind of where it all, I mean, of course, the journey begins way before that. But that I feel like is the pretty pivotal moment of what brought me to start creating Unleashed and the Unleashed project.
Fairly recent, or was this like, a decade ago?
Almost a decade ago. I'm 41 now, and I was in my early 30s.
Right. So it's interesting. I've noticed myself like being in my late 30s, and it started in my early 30s when things just really began to shift, like all the preconceived notions of who I was, how I operated in society. And suddenly like, are any of those stories true, or are they just facades that we wear? So I totally get where you are at that point in life and just like, whoa, okay, I'm seeing things with new eyes. And now that you've done that, you had this idea to create the Unleashed project. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's so true. I know that inner voice, we all have that inner voice that's, sometimes it is our own voice, but sometimes it's those things that we've heard said to us or we've seen or even heard said to another woman. And we end up carrying those with us in our thoughts, even in our body. And I always reflect or try to remember that our body is eavesdropping on all of our thoughts.
Yes. Yes.
Quote or something that I read one time and I was like, yes, that is so true. And so we really need to be aware and conscious of what we're thinking about ourselves and what that inner critical usually voice is saying, because our body is picking all that up, and that could lead to blockages in the body, pain, disease. A lot of different ways our unkind thoughts can manifest in the body.
It's so incredible how we store energy of emotion in our muscles, in our tissue, in our cells. I mean, it's not a negative thought, but I mean, when I lived in New York City, I was hit by a 12-passenger van crossing the street, and my shoulder, had sustained some damage. Thank goodness it wasn't broken or anything. But years later, I ended up having a massage, and that area something about that area had been, massaged differently than it ever had been before. And tears just started pouring out of my face. And I'm like, what is this? And it took me a moment to realize that was the injured shoulder, and all the trauma that came along with that was finally like, whoosh, okay, I don't have to hold that in my body anymore. I do want to go back to Unleash Project, but I do want to talk to you also about the therapeutic work that you do through movement and through creating, where I believe that really helps to unlock a lot of that trauma from our body. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, totally. Through my own experience and from working with other women, I see it happen all the time. Where, just like you're saying, the body, the muscle, the tissues remembers and stores that information. And so when we massage it or move the body in a certain way or speak to that part of your body, then it's able to have a voice, it's able to release, it's able to have the attention that it needs to process whatever that emotion is, good or bad, to move out of the body and process. So it can happen in a variety of ways. Yes, I do creative arts and expression with body paint, so directly working on the body. And I also do some movement classes where we're tapping into connecting with the body and moving and the somatics of it as well. So using breath, using sound, movement, of course, is part of somatics too. So really utilizing art and the body for healing.
So talk me through what the Unleashed Project looked like for an individual woman who came in to work with you.
So the Unleashed Project began in 2014, actually, and it was shortly after I had this moment on the beach and did a lot of my own self-realizations and inner work, and came to this realization that one, I wanted to utilize art for my own healing. I was an art teacher, and so I already knew the benefits of art, but I wasn't really using it for myself per se yet. So I wanted to figure out a way to build that relationship of connecting with myself and expressing and using the art for healing purposes. And so I lost my train of thought.
We're talking about the origins of the project and then what it means for each individual woman as she comes in for a session with you, like what that looks like. Because eventually where I want to take this is the kind of healing that you've witnessed as you've put a person in a situation where they are willingly choosing to be so vulnerable. You can't help but I imagine that there's major shifts that occur. So what is that process like when you bring someone into your studio?
Yes. So everyone is at a different place in their life when they come in. For the actual Unleashed project, which is the touring exhibition, those women, they all came in for their own personal reasons, but also with the collaborative reason that we were all sending a message of changing the paradigm to being able to have our own standard of beauty.
Yes.
That beauty comes from the inside and is expressed out, that the messages that society has been showing us and sending us for so long that it's not true, that it's impossible, unhealthy ways of viewing the female body. And so the women who came on board, the 108 women that participated in the Unleashed project, they all had this belief of wanting to change the paradigm for ourselves and for all women. It began there, like with an interview, and I would guide them in a meditation that would bring up positive emotions from their own memories. And then we would work with color theory and somatic experiencing and emotional flooding. And they would come to this apex of so much love for themselves and their bodies, and really shutting off that critical voice in those moments, and then expressing what they were feeling, those emotions of pride and self-love and gratitude. And we go through a lot of different emotions in the guided meditation, and they express that then on their body with the paint, choosing the color that they associated with that feeling, applying the paint onto their body where they're feeling that emotion. So really giving it a tactile feeling, and like really making it true in their body, like really anchoring that in. And then I was photographing their process while they were doing that, and not posing them or anything, just working off of the energy of what they were creating on themselves, their body canvas. And then I would interview them after they processed everything. And then that's where some amazing things would show up. Shifts that they would have a lot of times right away, like realizing these ways that they've been speaking to themselves, or that, yeah, they are disconnected from their body, and how they've been treating themselves and speaking to themselves. And yeah, a lot of different testimonials came out in those moments after.
So it takes an incredible amount of trust to show up in your studio space and say, I'm willing to just take my clothes off. I'm willing to be vulnerable and then paint by not only just exposing my body, but my heart and my soul and the ways that I've been treating myself. Like, those are incredibly deep layers of I think, vulnerability. I mean, what does it feel like to be able to have people trust you so much that they're willing to put, these inhibitions aside to say, I'm here to learn how to make friends with myself, to love myself, to create, this vision of me that's true, and not some, conglomeration of what society and people in my past have told me is true about me. That's a huge responsibility.
Yeah, a little bit, I guess, when you put it like that.
I admire it. It's incredible that you are able to create an environment like that. But for you, to hold that space, like, what does that mean?
Thank you. I love holding space for women. I just love to empower them and see them grow and transform, and just like be the incredible women that we know we can be, and I just have so much respect for the women that participated in the project, and their bravery and their courage for doing it, and like making that stand along with me. They're just awesome human beings. All women are. And I just I just love celebrating their triumphs with them. I love being a part of that. There was some apprehension, of course, from some women.
But they knew what they were getting into.
They knew. They totally knew. And it empowered them. I really feel like them, like I guess I feel like I was able to give them a voice, and a vision. Because people, it's photography, so people are seeing it in a different way. Maybe it's not a voice per se, we're not up on the podium, making a speech about something. It's done in a different way, where this was our message. It's a visual message. And the message is that this is our standard of beauty, that the beauty comes from the inside. Yet we're all different shapes and sizes and ages and races, and every single body is beautiful, just the way that it is.
How did the project show up in terms of touring and where it's at right now? How can people see it if it's, out there?
Yeah, so currently it is in Fort Lauderdale. It was the first stop of the exhibition at a venue called Art Serve. Uh, COVID happened
Mm-hmm.
about a week after it opened up. So the space is closed for now. The exhibition tour has halted temporarily. And so what I've done is move everything online. So women could still experience Unleashed and the whole Unleashed process in one-on-one sessions with me or in small groups we're doing through Zoom. Because the idea was when the exhibition was touring that I would be traveling with it and being able to do these sessions with women in person, one-on-one, wherever the exhibition was held at, whatever city.
It's amazing how we have to adjust to COVID times and how our work, ways you'd never think you'd have to do it, you're doing it. We have these virtual platforms, which is amazing, but it's like you're still finding ways to connect, even though we can't really connect in person as much. Can you talk to me a little bit about your experience of staying connected these past several months?
Yeah, it's been a lot of change, a lot. Yes, the whole thing with just moving the Unleashed online, but I've been really surprised at how much I am able to feel connected with people through a video screen. It's pretty amazing. We could still look at each other in the eye and, we can't give each other hugs anymore, but
No, I
air
miss
hugs
that.
work.
Oh, so have you found that the tools that you have, like as a creative person, as a dancer, as an artist, that you're able to work on your own sense of, disconnectedness when it does come up? Because there must be moments where it's great to have those tools that you do in order to pass through some of these feelings.
Oh my gosh, yes. I use these tools on myself all the time.
Mm. What's your
I'm
favorite?
well, shaking is a regular one. I told you I was just doing my shaking right before we got on the call.
Mm.
That really just kind of helps me reset my autonomic nervous system and helps me to feel grounded.
Do
I
you do it
meditate.
just one limb at a time and then the whole body? Is there a specific technique that you use, or it's just like really just move that energy, just shake it out?
Depends on how much I need.
Yeah.
Yeah, one limb at a time if I really need grounded, but usually it's just shaking the whole body vigorously and kind of wildly. Something about that just gets me so present and in my body and just grounded. Yeah.
And so meditation is also part of your practice?
Meditation, movement, just free form movement. I also do yoga, of course, and I paint my body. I do. I use it as my own therapy.
I love that you are able to like live it. You help other people with it, but it's so a part of your own practice of self-love and healing. That's a beautiful thing. We need more of that in the world. We need more people knowing how to take care of themselves in that context, and more people who have the ability to hold space like you do and share that with others. I'm curious, like as you went through this process with these 108 women, did you get stories from them afterwards? Because I have a feeling this activated some awakenings.
Oh gosh, yes. Oh, one of the biggest breakthrough stories I feel is one woman who had the BRCA2 gene
Yes.
mutation, and she was still young, and she had to have bilateral hysterectomy or mastectomy and
Mm-hmm.
full hysterectomy,
Mm-hmm.
and she had not even shown her husband her breasts since her
Wow.
surgery. So this was a big deal for her to get naked, like physically and psychologically, for her in front of another person. And oh my gosh, you should see her now. Like after her experience, she was, prancing around the studio, happy in her body again. And she's just out there making a difference in the world. She supports other women who are going through the same issues. And she's just amazing. So
to me, it's like, part of the reason I named my company Lighthouse Haven, it's like you create the safe space for other people to shine their light, and suddenly you become that light and you shine it for other people. And it's like little lights getting activated all over the world. And if somebody is able to sit in their truth and speak their truth and live in their truth, how many other people feel like, okay, I guess I feel safe doing that too. So that, yeah, I'm sure that has activated, multiple people, beyond the 108, and of course all the people who have experienced it for themselves, like as a viewer, of the project before it got shut down for temporary, so that is pretty fantastic. Now, if I remember correctly, were you on the Rebecca Campbell train? Is that, this is how we got connected? Yes.
Yes.
Like she was such a big part of my reawakening. Like she helped me remember. The remembering was such a big deal for me. And I kind of felt like that was a huge step in terms of my spiritual out of the closetness as an adult. Would you say that was a similar experience for you, or how did that fit into your journey?
One of the biggest takeaways that I had from that experience at the Rise Sister Rise retreat, Brandy, actually.
Yes, I love her.
I know. She stood up and spoke. I don't remember even what she spoke about, but a question came up and she stood up and took the mic and spoke. And I looked to her, and people just inspire me, just like those other people on the nude beach. She inspired me, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to stand up and talk too.
That's how it works. I love that.
And then we ended up talking after and had this great connection. And she participated in the Unleashed project. She flew from Dallas to Fort Lauderdale to take part in it. And yeah, so I mean, like, inspiration is all around us. And I just am so inspired by other people all the time. I feel like, I don't know, that's just how I operate on other people inspiring me.
And you inspire so many. I love that. I want to hear about what you're currently working on. We talked a little bit about it, but if people wanted to get involved with what you're doing, learn more about you, what would be the best way to do that?
I guess probably go to my website, theunleashedproject.com. You can find out about the Zoom sessions that we're doing, the Unleashed experience that I spoke about, and sign up on my email list. You'll find out when the exhibition starts touring again. Hopefully that's going to happen soon. And I also have social media, of course. It's at I Am Unleashed Project for Facebook and Instagram.
So thank you for that. I want, before we head out here, you've gathered so much wisdom. You've collected so many stories. If there was one thing you could tell women out there who are struggling with their self-image, with, their bodies, and feeling like unworthy based on, what other people have said, what they've told themselves their whole lives, what the magazine says is wrong about them, if you could give them, some advice in terms of how to be able to love the body they've been given and appreciate it, what have you learned, and what can you share about that?
That's a great question. Love and acceptance has to come from within. It's not out here outside of yourself. You have everything you need within you. Who you are is It's all there. It's not out here. It's all inside.
That is a journey to take, to embark on to finally get to that point. But I have a feeling that when that acceptance comes and that moment arises where you're like, I just don't actually care what anybody thinks. This is my body and I'm going to be proud of it. So thank you for being such a positive light and force for women, allowing themselves to take up space and show up brightly the way that they were born to be.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Lighthouse Conversations. If this show resonates with you, it would mean so much to have you rate, review, and share. Don't forget to follow us at chellycanales.com and on social media.